Good morning! Good morning! Magandang umaga, Bicolandia, Canada, America, Australia. What a beautiful rainy morning in Las Vegas, Nevada, United States of this America. Welcome to another edition of Anuna Bev, Best Express Views on PHLV Radio, and soon on I Want TFC viewers, subscribers, friends, and family from all over the world. Subscribe na! On to our Tuesday topic, confidence nowadays can be elusive for many different reasons. It could be social media and its profound effect on our self-esteem. It could also trigger self-doubt, increased pressure. The job market has become increasingly competitive. Political and social uncertainty, personal experiences, and insecurity. All of these things have been going on around the world. But we have resources, so you will not be shaken from your reason. With us, spokesperson of Jehovah's Witnesses from their worldwide headquarters in New York, US of A, Mr. Aaron Purvis. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Bev.
Ayan. First, let's talk about the significance of the theme, Facing the Future with Confidence. Why is that so important?
Yeah, I think that's going to catch a lot of people's attention because, as you just mentioned, there are so many things that have shaken our confidence in the world that we live in today. I don't know how it is with you, Bev, but when I watch the news, I just can't believe all of the tragedies that are happening around the world. And I just look forward to those last 90 seconds where they give you that feel-good story to pick you back up from all of the things that you just witnessed. And to that point, it was interesting that on January the 24th of this year, the scientists that man the doomsday clock, which may be very familiar with some of your listeners, the doomsday clock is a metaphor that scientists use to predict the end of humanity. And they feel that if that clock ever strikes midnight, that the human life as we know it on this earth will cease to exist. Well, on January the 24th, they moved that clock closer to midnight, closer to the end of the world than ever before in the history of the clock, just 90 seconds away from midnight. And the reason is because of some of those things you mentioned, but in addition to the climate problems that's on the news today, what's happening in Ukraine, and many other issues. However, the Bible's message is something far different. The Bible actually has a very positive hope for the future. And although we're living in what the Bible calls critical times hard to deal with, or some of your listeners may be familiar with the phrase, the last days, those things are coming to an end. The problems that we're faced with are coming to an end, and the solution is just around the corner. And so this special talk that's going to be given around the globe on April the 1st and April the 2nd, in just about every language that you can imagine, is going to address that very clearly. In fact, we're giving invitations out to that event in 489 languages.
Wow.
Because we want people to hear that in their mother tongue. So for your world-wide viewers and listeners, they'll be able to find this program in their language. But the fact is we can have a positive hope for the future, and that's going to be the highlight of our discussion on April 1st and April 2nd.
Now, Aaron, in a world with, again, numerous self-help books available, what sets the Jehovah's Witnesses apart from such materials, and what makes Jehovah's Witnesses unique?
Well, that's a great question, Bev. I saw one report that said that there are 1,500 self-help books published in the United States every year.
Yes, the secrets of the secrets.
Yes. And what that teaches me is that there are lots of people looking for help, which again shows the reason why there are so many problems in the world today. But here's something that's interesting with those self-help books. Who writes them? And what are they basing their expertise on? And they could be an expert in a particular field, and their self-help suggestions may benefit a particular group, and it may help them for a particular period of time. But the Bible is very unique because that's a book for all people. It was written basically 2,000 years ago, and the principles that are found in it are just as beneficial as the day they were written as they are today. And here's something else that's very unique about the Bible's message, is that it fits all people. It doesn't matter your background, your nationality, whatever language you speak. It was written for the human family by the creator of humans. And so he knows the best. and the principles found in it are always beneficial. In fact, you will not find in the Bible a statement or a phrase or a principle that has a footnote that says, well, don't follow this one. We tried it and it doesn't work. It was a crash and burn. No. Every principle found in the Bible was beneficial then as it is today. So that makes it much different than the self-help books that you'll find on the shelves of many bookstores.
Very insightful. Now, what are some practical benefits that one can experience by following the teachings of the Bible?
I was just thinking about what Jesus said when he was on the earth. He gave us the two greatest commandments. He said to love your God with your whole heart, soul, mind, and strength. And secondly, he said to love your neighbor as yourself, the two greatest commandments. And if a person just applied those in their life, or even the second one, just to love your neighbor as you do yourself, what a different world we live in. What would happen to conflict, and what would happen to prejudice, and what would happen to violence? Those things could be eradicated. They could be erased off the surface of the earth just by applying that simple principle. And that's, again, the reason why the Bible has such a powerful message. If a person goes to jw.org, they could put into the search bar, Bible Changes Lives, and there they would see a whole host of interviews of individuals from every walk of life that have made needed adjustments, needed changes, and how it's improved their life. And
Well,
I think
these
if
are
a
true to
person
life
looks at
stories,
those
correct?
things, yeah, it's life stories, and it's also just very short little snippets of, here was my challenge, here's how I applied this Bible principle, here's how it got better.
Wow.
So that's a wonderful resource, I think, for your listeners if they're interested in that.
Wow. Let's pause for a break, and when we return on Ano Na Bev, we will discuss instances where the lives of some individuals have changed knowing Bible truth.
I'm a professional singer. That's how I support myself and my family. I'm a careful driver. The other car hit me. I ended up picking Richard Harris. Richard Harris is already an institution in Nevada. Dahil kay Richard Harris, tanggal ang worries.
I slipped. I hurt my tailbone. They sent me the bill. Si Richard Harris, siya lang ang tumanggap ng kaso ko. Tutulungan ka niya. Kay Richard Harris, tanggal ang worries.
The Richard Harris Law Firm, just in case.
Mobile Home Health, providing care in the comfort of your own home.
Serving Southern Nevada is our top priority.
And it's our greatest joy to help others stay safe and enjoy a better quality of life at home.
Because health is wealth.
Sabi ng patients ko, they don't need a colonoscopy because they don't feel anything. But colon cancer is a silent killer. It affects both men and women, mayaman man o mahirap. Have your colon checked.
Welcome back to Ano Na Bev. Still with us, spokesperson of Jehovah's Witnesses, Mr. Aaron Purvis. Aaron, are there any instances where individuals with no affiliation with Jehovah's Witnesses have found success by applying the Bible teachings?
Yes. That's the reason why the Bible is called a book for all people. It doesn't matter really what a person's background is. It's available in every language that you could possibly imagine, and it would be beneficial for any person to take a look at. I know of individuals in my own congregation and from my past that had no knowledge of the Bible and lived really difficult lives, challenging lives, but by applying these principles, their life was able to find great improvement. In fact, one that just jumped into my mind was a man that we coined Six-Pack Pete. And that didn't have anything to do with his physical stomach. It had to do with him being an abuser of alcohol. And his wife, Marie, they were very violent people. In fact, most of their children were in the penitentiary. Marie started studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses. She began making changes. It made even Six-Pack Pete more wicked. In fact, one day he burned all of her clothing. He was physically abusive with her. But he went into the hospital one day, and because of his lifestyle, had his voice box actually cut out. And during that time period, we were able to visit him in the hospital, share with him some scriptures, and after months of rehab, he got out on a Friday, And on Sunday, he showed up at our Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, and our mouths just dropped on the ground. And he made progressive changes. It took some time, but he's no longer six-pack Pete. He's just Pete now, Pete and Marie. But it just illustrates how the Bible is powerful that way, and God's Spirit is powerful. It can help people make any needed adjustments.
Yes, wow, what a transformation, a metamorphosis. Changes should be a major, major, major renovation, not a decoration. I like that. Six-pack Pete.
Make the changes, Bev.
Yeah, so from bad to good, not good to bad, worse to good, and good to goodness.
I like it.
Now let's talk about your global campaign, because in this time of the year, I see a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses with their campaign material on Jesus' death. What is the global campaign that Jehovah's Witnesses have underway?
Yes, so Jehovah's Witnesses actually last Saturday engaged their 8.6 million witnesses in 239 lands around the world, engaged them in this global outreach campaign, where we're inviting individuals to two special events. One is the special talk, as you mentioned, how you can have confidence in the future. That's going to happen on April 1st and April 2nd. And then the observance of the death of Jesus Christ. It's the most important event of the year. It's the memorial of Christ's death. That will happen on April the 4th. And so we're inviting everyone we can in our community to be able to attend that. And we think we'll have great success. In years past, we've done this invitation work. However, in March of 2020, we had to pause those things because of the pandemic. Last year, we had an in-person memorial. It was our first one in a number of years.
Right.
But we weren't able to do our campaign like we're doing it right now. So we think we're going to have more people attend this than ever before. In fact, in the United States, 1 in 142 people living here were at the memorial with Jehovah's Witnesses last year.
Wow.
We have 1.2 million Jehovah's Witnesses here in the United States branch area.
Alone.
2.3 million attended. And so it's for the public. Almost double the amount of witnesses attended the memorial. And so we think that now that we're engaged in this invitation work at our carts, in our door-to-door ministry, we're going to have even more attend.
Wow. So I think I have that invitation, but just a synopsis, Aaron, on what will happen at the memorial of Jesus Christ, and what is the main feature of the talk, and how can we benefit from what God and Christ have done for us?
So anyone can attend. There's no fee to get in the door. There's no collection plate that is passed. There's not a dress code. Although Jehovah's Witnesses tried to dress in a very modest way, that's all that we ask, but a person doesn't have to dress formally to attend. And what we're going to learn there is how we can show appreciation for what God has done and for what Christ gave us. And I think when you ask people about the ransom sacrifice that was made, they understand that to a certain extent, but they have more questions, like why did he have to die? Jesus was perfect. He was only 3.5 years into his ministry. Everyone he came into contact with, he helped. He had such a positive influence, so why was his life cut short so soon? We need to answer that question. And really what that sacrifice means for us when it comes to our prayers, when it comes to our future, and how it can have a positive effect even in our family life right now. So I think ones will benefit from that when they come, bring their own copy of the Bible. If not, we can give them one while they're present in our places of worship. But we would like as many to come as possible.
From what I remember from the program, it says ransom. So when you say ransom, it's like is there like a kidnap money?
Yep. Thank you for asking that. Let me clarify that a little. That would go back to what it really says in Romans chapter 5 and verse number 12. That sin entered into the world through one man, and thus sin and death passed on to all man.
Oh.
And so that's what happened. We were sold, as it were, into slavery to sin and death, Romans chapter 5 and verse 12. So to get out of that state that we were sold into, this slavery to sin and death, a price would have to be paid.
Oh.
Because remember, God has 4 main attributes: love, justice, power, and wisdom. Well, his justice has to be satisfied. And to satisfy that justice, another life would have to be given. And that's what Jesus was willing to do on Nisan 14, 33 CE, the most significant death that has ever happened on this earth. You can see the reason why he told us to never forget it and to observe what he gave on that night.
Oh, we have a question from a viewer. He is from Las Vegas and he's asking, how could one man die for all people?
Now, that's a good question. And if he wanted to find an answer to that in his own copy of the Bible, he could take a look at Matthew chapter 20 and verse number 28. Jesus was asked a very important question, and he answered it there in Matthew 20:28, where he said, I came to the earth to give my life as a ransom in exchange for many. So Adam was a perfect man, and he sinned. He's the one that put us into the situation that we're in. So when Jesus came to the earth, he satisfied what was going to be needed, which was to give his life, a perfect life. That's what Adam lost. That's what Jesus was willing to give, and it balanced those scales of justice to allow us to have friendship with God and to be able to put us into a position where we could fulfill God's purpose for the earth, which is the earth to be filled with one family, getting along together, worshiping God together, living in perfect harmony with the animals, no death, no sickness, no pain, no suffering. Like it says in Revelation 21:3, tears wiped away from our eyes. That's the promise of the Bible. And this sacrifice that Jesus made, that's what makes that possible. And we'll discuss that in depth on April the 4th at the memorial observance.
Wow, well, that's very insightful. A perfect match, Adam versus Jesus. Adam lost it. Jesus is the ransom. Is that right?
You have it explained very well there, Bev. And if a person goes on to jw.org, they'll see that very simply. They could just put into the search bar ransom. We have a wonderful 4-minute video on that will explain it just about as simply as you did, Bev.
Okay, so it's not like kidnapping, for ransom.
No, it's not that, but it is a price that had to be paid.
A price to be paid.
And Jesus was the only one that could pay the price because he is the only person that ever came to this earth that was perfect and finished his life course being perfect.
A perfect match. Now, just a quick question. Why do Jehovah's Witnesses observe Jesus' Last Supper differently from the way other religions do?
So Jehovah's Witnesses really try to stick with what the Bible teaches and really what has happened in the past as a pattern for what we're doing now. So when Jesus was on the earth, this was the last night that he was going to be with his apostles. They observed or celebrated the Passover, and now Jesus instituted an entirely new arrangement. And this arrangement had to do with this ransom sacrifice that he was about ready to pay. And so in Luke chapter 22 and verse 19, to commemorate this, Jesus said, keep doing this in remembrance of me. And so in the Bible, any person can look at this, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, it sets the standard or the pattern to what Jesus did on that very night, in Nisan 14:33 CE. And what we'll do at our observance is we'll actually get out our Bibles, we will read those scriptures, and we will follow the exact protocol, just what Jesus did on that night. We'll be following that pattern exactly. And by doing that, we think we're actually living in harmony with what Jesus told us to do, again in Luke 22:19. Keep doing this in remembrance of me.
Very well said. Now, how far has this global campaign of Jehovah's Witnesses progressed at this point in time?
So we're about halfway through our campaign. We're almost to the halfway point. Again, we've engaged all of Jehovah's Witnesses. I would imagine that almost all 8.6 million have already invited someone to this event because we realize the significance of it, and we're going to continue. We're out doing our literature cart witnessing. Maybe some of your listeners have seen that in their communities. Around busy centers, you'll see literature carts. It's advertising the memorial of Christ's death. Anyone could ask one of Jehovah's Witnesses about that. Plus, since September of 2022, we've been knocking on people's doors, and so we're inviting them personally with invitations. But I think just as important to that, Bev, is Jehovah's Witnesses invite people that we know. So don't be surprised that if you work with a Jehovah's Witness that you don't get an invitation, or you go to school with a Jehovah's Witness, you'll get an invitation. You're a neighbor of a Jehovah's Witness, you're going to probably get an invitation. In fact, I was on an airplane and I had the invitation in my pocket. I wanted to give it to the man that was sitting next to me. I didn't know who he was. And he had already received an invitation.
Wow.
So it shows that the work is already progressing.
Very well said. Now, how can members of the community find a local venue?
jw.org. If they log on to jw.org, we're featuring this on our homepage. A person can click the box, find out more information, find a memorial. That's the name of the box. And when they click on that, it's very fascinating. It'll pull up a map as to the world. They put in an address as to where they're standing, and they put in the language that they like to hear it in, and it will show them on the map the time and the location of the nearest memorial or the nearest special talk. You don't have to have a ticket. You don't have to print anything out. You just have to find the location, find the time, and you can attend.
It's open
Now,
to the public, correct? Like
it's
everyone.
open to the public, free of charge. And I could also add this. If you're not able to get out of your home for whatever reason, or you don't want to come and be around a group or be around a crowd, or you don't have the capabilities to travel, you could contact any Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses and ask them for information on how to connect to this program virtually. There'll be a virtual component locally for each one of these venues, perhaps a Zoom feature to make sure that they don't miss out on this most important event.
Thank you very much for your time, Aaron. Expressing our thanks for the sacrifice that Jesus made on our behalf, for the forgiveness of our trespasses, because as long as we live in this imperfect world, there will always be imperfection. But you can face the confidence in the future. The special Bible talk on April 2 and on April 4, the most important date of the year to all mankind. The memorial of Jesus' death. What can his sacrifice mean to you? Both events are free. Contact Jehovah's Witnesses for local details or visit their website at jw.org. Until then, salamat po kapamilya. Thank you, Aaron, for your time.
Thank you, Bev.
I'm a professional singer. That's how I support myself and my family. I'm a careful driver. The other car hit me. I ended up picking Richard Harris. Richard Harris is already an institution in Nevada. Dahil kay Richard Harris, tanggal ang worries.
I slipped. I hurt my tailbone. They sent me the bill. Si Richard Harris, siya lang ang tumanggap ng kaso ko. Tutulungan ka niya. Kay Richard Harris, tanggal ang worries.
The Richard Harris Law Firm, just in case.
Mobile Home Health, providing care in the comfort of your own home.
Serving Southern Nevada is our top priority.
And it's our greatest joy to help others stay safe and enjoy a better quality of life at home.
Because health is wealth.
Sabi ng patients ko, they don't need a colonoscopy because they don't feel anything. But colon cancer is a silent killer. It affects both men and women, mayaman man o mahirap. Have your colon checked.
Just like a friend from back home. This is your Filipino radio experience in Las Vegas. PHLV Radio. PHLV Radio.